just say the weird thing. People are desperately seeking realness.
Did you know that your slow metabolism might actually be your mom's fault? As a matter of fact, it's actually the fault of the environment that your ancestors lived in. Okay, hear me out. As you may know, inside of every single cell inside of our body, there is DNA. With that being said, there's also mitochondria within just about every cell in our body, and these are the small organelles that produce energy. And our mitochondria actually have their own unique DNA, called the mitochondrial DNA. And unlike the DNA inside of your nucleus, your mitochondrial DNA is inherited strictly from your mother, which means that your mitochondrial DNA is the same as your mother, whose is the same as her mother, whose is the same as her mother, and so on. Which leads me into talking about mitochondrial coupling. Essentially, the efficiency at which dietary calories are converted into energy is considered the coupling efficiency of your mitochondria. Importantly, when energy enters into your mitochondria, it can either be converted into ATP, which your body uses as energy, or it can be released into the environment as heat, which can heat up your internal and external body temperature. A tightly coupled mitochondria generates the maximal amount of ATP and the minimum amount of heat per calorie burned. And this is actually beneficial in a warmer climate. Conversely, a loosely coupled mitochondria generates more heat and less ATP per calorie, which would actually be beneficial in a colder climate because it would increase our capacity to stay warm. This leads us to what are referred to as mitochondrial haplotypes. Essentially, the DNA inside of your mitochondria can dictate how loosely or tightly coupled your mitochondria are. And this really depends on the environment your ancestors evolved in. Therefore, it may not actually be your mother's fault, but the fault of your mother's ancestors. And it does appear that different haplotypes have different resting metabolic rates and total daily energy expenditures. Common African haplotypes actually have significantly lower resting metabolic rates, and European haplogroups have significantly higher. In fact, one study estimated that African American women may have a 295 calorie per day lower resting energy expenditure compared to their European counterparts. This is actually due to the expression of specific proteins inside of the mitochondria referred to as uncoupling proteins, which essentially release energy as heat rather than turning it into ATP. So while this fact is kind of unfortunate, there are things we can do about it, including increasing our consumption of polyphenols, micronutrients that support the thyroid, including zinc, copper, calcium, iron, iodine, selenium, vitamin D, and various amino acids. Increasing our consumption of omega-3s, the consumption of cacao polyphenols, the consumption of capsaicin typically found in spicy food, as well as exercise. So while the weird thing may be that our mother and our ancestors may dictate our resting energy expenditure when we're born, we have immense control over this by optimizing our diet and lifestyle. With that being said, if you would like an individualized approach to your nutrition and lifestyle to optimize your health, energy, and body composition, send me a DM to sign up for coaching.